You'll realize when you're using Python, everything in life is a list. Strings are lists of characters. SumString equals SumString. We've assigned SumString, which is a string, to the variable SumString. This is equivalent to a list of the characters of the string SumString. What do we mean by that? Anything that you can do with a list, you can do with a string as well. So you could find the length of the string, you could iterate through the characters of the string, you could add characters or remove characters from a string. Anything you can do with a list, you can do with a string as well. Let's go through some code and see how this works. We have a variable SumString, which is a random string. Since strings are lists of characters, let's use the len function. Remember how we use the len function to print the length of a list. Similarly, we can use the len function to print the length of the string. Now do it the nice way by actually printing out a sentence which says what the length of the string is. Also remember, the len function will return an integer and you cannot add a string and an integer. So convert it to a string using the stir function. We've already learned how square brackets and colon are indexing operators for lists. They help us find elements of a list at a given position or index. Similarly, we can use these indexing operators to access substrings of a string. SumString followed by :5 enclosed in square brackets will print the first 5 characters of the string. Similarly, SumString followed by 6 : in square brackets will print the part of the string after the 6th character. SumString 9 to 14 will print the characters from the 9th position to the 14th position. Also remember that the indexing starts from 0. Alright, let's say you want to count how many times the string random appears in our string. So how many times a particular word or substring or phrase appears in a string. Use the count function. SumString.count random will give you the count of how many times random appears in the string, which as you know is 1. You can use the index function to get the first index where a particular substring appears. So let's say you want to find what is the index where random appears first in the string. So strings being just like lists, they are indexed from 0. Print index SumString.index of random will give you the position where the string random starts. We get 10, which means that the R in random is the 11th character of our string. Now while strings do behave like lists, they also have other nifty functions that you can use. You can convert them to uppercase or lowercase. Simply use the upper or lower functions. So SumString.lower will print our string with all the letters converted to lowercase. Similarly, SumString.upper will print our string with all the letters capitalized. The split function is really cool. You can split a string at every instance of a particular character. So let's say you want to split a string into its corresponding words. You can do this by saying split with this character space. So let's try that out. Let's say print SumString.split. You see how this returns a list with each of the words of our string because it has split it at every space. You can also check if a string starts with or ends with a particular sequence of characters. So you can check if a string starts with the, for example. Starts with and ends with are the functions to do this. The function will return true if the string starts with the specified word or string. So some string dot starts with some should return false, and some string dot ends with string should return true. There it is. Let's see one last trick. The indexing operator can also take negative numbers. How does that work, you'll say? The negative number basically tells the indexing operator to index from the last character or the last element of a list. You can do this even with lists. So when you try to access negative indices or give the indexing operator a negative number, it is interpreted as being from the end of the string. Let's try it out. Some string -3 to -7 will give you nothing, because -3 is greater than -7. The first index should be smaller than the last index. So -3 colon will give you the last 3 letters of the string, and -7 to -3 will give you the letters between the 3rd and 7th as counted from the end of the string.